Hello, this is Colleen Morley for CMSA Chicago, and welcome to CMSA Chicago Member Spotlight, our informational video series by members about members discussing the various specialties within case management. Today's video puts the spotlight on Linda Kunicki. Linda has been with Bright Star Care of Chicago and Bright Star Care of LaGrange since 2013. Her background includes lengthy tenures in healthcare, senior residences, schools, and other types of businesses. She's had career responsibilities that have progressively increased in responsibility, encompassed management, sales, marketing, human resources, and training and development. Every position she's had has allowed her to be of service to others from children to seniors. On a personal level, Kunicki was the family caregiver through her mother's aging process from 1999 to 2015. From studying trends and being a former caregiver for her mother and grandmother, Linda knows that our senior population is growing and impacting many of the services needed in our world. This trend is also affecting the adult children who may also have youngsters. This dynamic puts them in the sandwich generation. And when Linda learned that Bright Star cares for all ages, plus they've earned the Joint Commission accreditation, she decided this premium company was the place for her to work. It is her joy to serve the pediatric to geriatric population, stay in their homes even when they require care. Linda's favorite quote, "You'll get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want," from Zig Ziglar. Linda, that's an awesome quote. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Linda, that's a phenomenal introduction and a great background. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your career path and what really led you to the role that you're in today?
Well, it is quite interesting because when I was very young, at 4.5, I lost my dad and we moved in with my grandparents. So that was my first exposure to elders. And I watched my grandfather go through many comorbidities. And even as a young child, I was one to absorb those things. So I had a goal of getting into the medical field and helping others. I became a medical assistant and worked in the hematology department of Holy Cross Hospital in the mid 70s and learned how to read the testing. I was best at finding cells on a microscope that no one else could. And so I just was led towards this and progressively worked for doctors' offices and then found that there were other industries that needed my expertise, such as ADT in their health services department, senior living, and then now since 2013, Bright Star Care.
Awesome. So, what does a workday look like for you in your role at Bright Star Care?
You know, I wish I could describe it in one easy method, but it's not. It varies from day to day. That's probably one of the things I like. I do intake. So I talk to a lot of families that are going through different phases with their elders, or maybe a child who needs special services because we serve pediatric to geriatric. Uh, it's about listening and also empathy because I have walked in some of these shoes or helped enough families in all these years to know what it is they need to look for, explain it to them in simple terms. And I learned that a long time ago, being a training and development manager, that if we listen and reflect on what that person needs, not what we think they need, that will be much better. So I believe in the platinum rule, which is treat people as they want to be treated, not just as you think you want to be treated.
Excellent. So, what do you enjoy most about the work that you're doing right now? What excites you the most? What's the biggest reward that you get?
Is the satisfaction of knowing that we did help a family get the right caregivers in place. And also because we do non-medical and skilled services right in the home. One of the biggest things I've seen in the last, about 3 years is more of the need for skilled services, private duty in the home. And that takes some explanation to case managers because it's not home health, You
Mm-hmm.
don't start with an order. It's much bigger process. And sometimes families do not know that they need both non-medical and medical services. And I'm so grateful. I'm going to put this up front to have been around people like yourself and other case managers that are nurses and the nurses I work with who have trained me so well that the biggest compliment I can get is, "Are you a nurse?" Because of how I answer. Or my other second best one that I like is, "Are you the owner?" So I know then that I'm doing the best job that I can in my position. And I take great pride in that because I'm very passionate about making sure people have the right thing.
That's wonderful. And thank you for that compliment. Um, is there something that surprised you about the role when you first started it? You've been with the company now for since 2013 in this role. So think back to that time and what was one of those, oh, we do that moments?
Oh my, there were a lot of those moments with Bright Star Care, simply because we do non medical, skilled, which I knew nothing about in 2013, but we also do medical staffing. So
Mhm.
we have, quite a, like different departments, you could say, to do these things. And we also supply schools with school
Mm.
nurses. So it's not boring by any means, and it takes I think someone who's willing to be on a path of continuous learning to be in a position like this, because it's not just taking an order from someone. It actually is knowing all the ins and outs of, okay, this patient is going to be long term, like let's say a person with ALS who we know is going to progress through that disease, needing minimal care to skilled care, and being able to tell that family all those different steps and how we can support them, and leading them to those organizations that can help them, like the ALS Foundation,
Mhm.
or others, or knowing case managers, independent case managers that help them through the part we can't do of going to the doctor or getting records. I deal also with a lot of families that are out of state. And with COVID the last year, that's been another leap to get help for them because they can't visit or they can't go to that doctor's office. So knowing independent case managers that can help them. I'm about resources. So if someone
Mhm.
calls me and I can't help them, they're going to get a resource from me.
Great. So that's a great segue. What are some of the skills that you think are most important for somebody who's interested in a job like yours?
So I think, again, I'll go back to the continuous learning.
Mhm.
Before I even accepted the position at Bright Star Care, I'm one of those researchers that I went and I looked at, okay, what training could I do before I accept this position? What could I learn about home care, private duty home care, before I jump in and I make sure I'm a good fit for that owner that's hiring me? And so I did some of that. I bought books. I'm big on that as well. As I said, continuous learning. And said, "Oh, I think this fits very well." The other thing was I already knew what Joint Commission accreditation was. So that was a big draw for me for Bright Star Care, because I knew the hoops that you have to jump through to get Joint Commission accreditation, and that there's organizations that have to do it, and Bright Star does it voluntarily. So I think that makes a huge difference and does show we're a higher standard. So again, even to this day, every CMSA dinner meeting, or if I've put on a CE with a new speaker, it's because I'm learning something as well.
Excellent. That's great. I'm a big fan, and you know this, of continuing education and
Yes.
being out there and learning about new things. So you and I are soulmates there. Um, what are some of the big projects you're working on now that you finished, or ones that you finished up in the last couple of months?
So because of COVID, and because we do skilled nursing, we're working on some clinical trials, helping
Mm,
there with our nurses. Um, some facilities, as we know, now need to have in their facility testing, And so we're working on some projects there. And then we also specialize in infusions in the home. And so we have been working with some organizations that need nurses for infusions in the home, because we have a whole nother department. Besides local contracts, we have something called national accounts. So we might be contracted to a company that's across the whole United States doing many different things, workman's comp cases, infusions, etc. So that's another whole department that I didn't even get into. But our corporate office, because each Bright Star is a franchise, so we're individually owned and operated, but we still work as a team. And so I think those projects are awesome. And I get to put my toe in the water even with the national accounts, because sometimes a client calls and doesn't know that they could get it paid for by one of these accounts. And so I can get the right answers out of them and then right direction. And then our nurse manager works with me as a team.
Excellent. All right, so now my favorite question. How has being a member of CMSA Chicago benefited you and your career?
So again, we're soulmates on that one, because I've been a member of CMSA since the fall of 2013. So I started in Bright Star in March, and someone introduced me to CMSA. I went to one dinner, kind of felt it out, and went to a second one and thought, this is an organization I belong in. And then in 2014, there was an opening on the board. And so I decided to jump in on that aspect, and I've been on the board ever since as a director. But it is those monthly meetings with the speakers. You know, many times some of us that are not nurses or official, certified case managers, you don't know how some of those programs impact us to help our clients, help us to help family members. I learned so much about some topics that I needed for my own family, and so they're valuable, just so valuable. And the friendships, there is a lot of great friendships, partnerships, and there's just something about the camaraderie that you can't explain in words.
I agree 100% there. You're echoing everything that I feel exactly. And wow, just thank you so much for being with us tonight, and taking the time out to chat with me a little bit and give me your feedback, from another perspective for case management. CMSA Chicago and CMSA National, for that matter, are all about the connections, correct?
Yes.
And we are all inclusive. It's not just nurses and social workers. It's everybody who provides those services and that care for our patients along the continuum of care. So people like yourself at Bright Star Care and other organizations that provide care or durable medical equipment or service providers of any kind are more than welcome to become members. And as you've shown, I mean, you've been on the board for quite some time now and making an incredible difference. So thank you very, very much. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate your time this evening, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.